Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Kara again. Are you ready to hear the next part of our story? Remember when we left off last week, a strange new family had come to Satoo's island, and Chief Meriden had put them in the witch doctor Tama's house because he was gone. What will happen next? By nightfall, a crowd had gathered around the hut to see what these strange people were doing. They were unpacking all kinds of boxes with things the people had never seen before. For instance, when they ate, they weren't eating on leaves or out of coconut shells, but off of strange things that they brought with them. The people didn't know what to think of this. Everything was so strange and different. After a while, they all left and went home for dinner. But one by one, they were really drawn back. Satu went to bed, but he couldn't sleep. He wanted to know more. He wanted to see more, so he snuck out of his house and peered through the edges and cracks of the family's hut. What he saw surprised him. Out of the boxes, the big teacher took things that were square like a box, but they only opened on one side, and inside it looked like leaves. This was strange to Satu, but I bet you can guess what these things were. Anyway, the big teacher took these things out, opened them up, and it seemed like he was talking to them. It was the strangest thing. Satu assumed it must be magic. What else could it be? The family sat around and listened as the big teacher spoke to the square box with the leaves in it. And then they started to sing. Now, Satu had heard singing before, but not like this. The man's voice was rich and deep, and even the little girl sang with him. The whole family sang. It was like nothing he'd ever heard before. Villagers were drawn out of their homes to listen, and when the song finally stopped, all of them just caught their breath. It was beautiful. They'd never heard anything like it. It was quiet and night, and nothing else was really happening, so they all slipped back to their homes to sleep. What was going to happen? They had no idea. The next morning, the teacher and his son started scouting out areas in the village and around the village, and it was pretty obvious what they wanted. He kept trying in his language to ask Chief Meriden for a place to build a house and a garden. But no matter what plot of land the teacher and his boy asked for, the chief always said no. He was worried. He was sure these people would leave, but as time went on and boat after boat came to the island, the people stayed. What was going on? What was he to do? It also became clear to the teacher and his family that the chief was not going to allow them to build a hut, a home of their own in the village. What they did next was very surprising to the villagers. The teacher and his boy started bringing logs in from the jungle and putting them on the beach in the salt sand. What were they thinking? No one could grow anything there. Nothing would grow. Yet they still kept bringing logs in and started building a house there on the sand. The villagers started helping. Next, Satu noticed that Hans, their son, was bringing rocks down to the beach and creating quite a pile. It looked like fun work. Do you like playing with rocks and building? I bet you do. I know my kids do. Hans tried to talk to Satu and encouraged him to help him. Little by little, they were beginning to understand each other's language. What were they going to do with the rocks? No one really knew, but the big teacher seemed excited by them. He seemed to be building a trough with them. Once the trough was done, he started bringing baskets of rich dirt down and filling them. Then it became obvious. Because he couldn't grow anything in the sand, and because the chief would not let him have a place to grow his own garden, he made his own out of rock troughs around his house. He also built a low wall all around his house and his garden and painted it white. And no matter how many times it rained and washed that white paint away, he'd just happily go out and sing and repaint it. The chief was very worried now. They were clearly not leaving. What was he to do? Very concerned, he said, "I'm going to have to send for the witch doctor. He'll know what to do." So he sent a messenger to the other side of the island to get the witch doctor. Satu was concerned. He was beginning to like this family. What will happen next? Come back next week and I'll tell you.